I was watching a video on Kulinski's channel, and critical thinking in America is absolutely gone. So he had some guy, I guess, that predicted that Trump won, and he's there like, well, I saw the signs, literally the signs. He was talking about how he saw all these Trump signs everywhere, and he didn't see any Kamala Harris signs anywhere. How ridiculous. You mean like how it was in 2016 and how it was in 20? I mean, you have two voter bases that behave in a very different way. Trump supporters are extremely passionate about, Trump shirts and giant flags, and that's what they do, right? On the other hand, Democrat voters are not like that. Democratic voters are not like that. You could love Harris all you want, but you're probably not going to have a giant Harris flag. If Trump does horribly in the next 4 years, and the American people desperate to get rid of Trump, you're still going to see a ton of Trump signs, and whoever it is that people vote for overwhelmingly, you're not going to see a lot of signs for that person, because that's just not how Democratic voters are. And then they're talking about Kamala Harris being a bad candidate, and again about her messaging. I don't like Harris. I think she's a weak politician, but messaging absolutely was not the main issue. There were messaging issues for sure, but that was not the main issue. When even after the election, all the talk from even liberal media is about trans stuff and woke this and woke that, which is completely opposite of reality. What difference would it have made what her messaging is if ultimately the rhetoric about her campaign was always going to be so disconnected from reality? Let's say she went hardcore with the progressive stuff, right? Hardcore populist, hardcore progressive stuff. You still would have had people pretending like they didn't know what her policies were, even now still talking about she didn't have any policies, right? And when you have a ton of people that are saying the stuff that's demonstrably false, what she actually says matters much less. Because if I'm saying all the right stuff, but a majority of what you hear about me is false, right? If everyone's like saying, everyone talking about me is lying, presenting me as somebody who I'm not, saying I'm running on things that I'm not running on, if that overwhelms what people are hearing, especially people who aren't that involved in politics, right? If even liberal media is spreading some of that stuff. Again, yes, she could have had better messaging, but the impact of better messaging is going to be severely limited if you can't pierce through the misinformation that's coming from even liberal media. Once again, I said this many times, when she started her campaign, she was going around the country talking about her policies, and even liberal media, Young Turks and Americans did that. They were like, well, she needs to have policies, whatever. This wasn't just a right-wing thing. Liberal media was spreading misinformation for quite a while. After she already talked about her policy, they still say, I know what her policies are, right? Some people, they never acknowledge what policies are. But again, if even liberal media was doing that, spreading this rhetoric about what's her policies, right? What is the impact on people who are going to vote? If all they're hearing all day, she has some policies, right? And she's trans, she's doing trans things. Also, another important factor that I've said before, your messaging matters less when you have a credibility issue, which the Democratic Party has right now. The voters have been disappointed multiple times. They've been tricked multiple times. They have been overpromised and underdelivered multiple times, right? So even if she had the best message, it's still going to be a challenge for voters to actually trust her or him or whoever it is, that they're actually going to deliver and that it's not another trick, right? How many times are you going to trick the voters, say one thing, do another, run on progressive stuff, and then when you get in office, you rule like a centrist, moderate, and then you wait till the ending of your term where you get desperate and start trying to do a little progressive thing here and a progressive thing there. But it's kind of like you had this big talk, you run with big talk, you get in office and it's like, what's up? Look at Trump in comparison. Trump's a clown, but he's not even sworn in yet, and he's already bringing the noise, right? He wants to circumvent all these rules and he's bringing in all these crazy people. There's a lot of energy that is showing that he's ready to fight and go to war, right? When Biden won, where was that? Right? Where was the war? There was a big talk before. Then he wins and it's kind of like, okay, we win now. Right? So again, when you keep deceiving your voters, it hurts your credibility such that the messaging matters less and less. Because again, even if she said the perfect words, never made a mistake ever. Every time she speaks, she has a perfect answer. Everything is perfect. Again, before people go out to vote for her, they would need to have faith that she's actually going to deliver. I mean, case in point, I've said multiple times that the biggest problem I had with her in terms of if she wins is I didn't think she was going to do much. Right? I didn't think she was going to do much. And I'm not the only one who doesn't have a lot of faith in the Democratic Party, right? So that means you're depending on people voting just to prevent Trump. And you just can't ride on that alone, man. That alone doesn't work. You need to have credibility. They've got to restore their credibility. That's one of the biggest priorities. I don't know how that's going to be a tough order because they're out of power, but you've got to restore credibility. Part of being able to win elections is to be credible. Your voters need to trust you. You can say whatever you want. If we don't believe you, it's not going to matter. Yes, you needed better messaging. Yes, we should have had a better candidate, but don't discount how much impact the misinformation and how bad our media is. Whether it's independent media like David Pakman and others talking about, look at Trump's crowd size, it's so small, look at it, it's empty, everything's empty. So why should I go vote for somebody who clearly they're going to win because, the Trump fans aren't even going to the events, right? That's what you get from left-wing media. Don't worry. I mean, they literally would say, ignore the polls and go vote. But at the same time, you're spending a lot of time talking about Trump's crowd size. I mean, on one hand, you're saying Trump is a threat and we got to go vote. On the other hand, you're like, look, even his own fans don't like him anymore. So again, it's a conflict, right? Why would the people watching your show feel like, I got to go vote when you're showing that Kamala is surging and look at her crowd. The crowd is big and then Trump's crowds are small and everyone's leaving, right? Stuff like this is going to make it difficult for someone to win. Even if she was a better candidate, that is a big impact. And again, liberal media was also not being honest about her. We got to get critical thinking classes or something in this country. Otherwise, I mean, we're already screwed right now, but I don't know, man. Comment below.